Welcome back to Generative AI 101, the podcast where we turn the often perplexing world of AI and generative AI into something as digestible as your favorite comfort food. Like a good grilled cheese when you need it. I'm Emily Laird, your wild guide through this techno jungle, and today we're cracking open the playbook on techniques for refining prompts. If you've ever been underwhelmed by your AI's responses, consider this your crash course in turning bland outputs into fabulous answers. So buckle up because, like a fine dish, we're about to elevate your AI game to Michelin star levels. Welcome to Generative AI 101. All right, let's get into it. So let's face it, asking AI a question can sometimes feel like playing the world's most frustrating game of 20 questions. You ask something and the response is, well, close, but no cigar. That's where the art of prompt refinement comes into play. It's all about understanding the first prompt is like the first pancake, usually a bit underwhelming. Am I right? Am I the only one that has that happen? Is your first pancake the saddest of the pancakes and everything else is the most beautiful pancake ever? And if you out there are a mom like I'm a mom, you get that first pancake. You get the sad pancake. Okay. Anyway, back to this. So, the essence of refining prompts, okay? So, it's much like fine tuning a recipe. The first go might give you something edible, like your sad pancake, but with a few tweaks, adjusting the seasoning, maybe throwing in a dash of spice, you end up with a dish worth savoring. In the AI world, this means rephrasing, adding context, and tightening the scope until the output is spot on. It's a process of trial and error that, when done right, can turn a mediocre result into something that makes you say, now that's what I'm talking about. So let's get down to brass tacks with something called iterative prompting. Sounds fancy, right? That's okay. This is not a Michelin star restaurant, but it's really just a cycle of asking, tweaking, and re asking until you get what you want. Think of it like brewing coffee. Your first pot might be too weak or too strong, so you adjust. Add more grounds, change the water temperature, and try again until you've got that perfect cup. Hopefully, not all in one morning. That's a lot of pots of coffee. So, steps to get to that perfect iterative prompting. So, your initial prompting, start broad, like dipping your toe in the water to see how cold it is. You might ask, what are common project management strategies? The AI gives you a basic list, nothing too fancy. Then we get to evaluation. Here's where you play a critical role. Is the output accurate? Is it relevant? Or did the AI just serve you a word salad? Look out for bias and overly general responses that don't quite hit the mark. So then there's refinement. This is where it's time to get really specific. Maybe that first answer was just okay, but you need more and you deserve more. So you refine. What are effective project management strategies for software development? Notice how we're tightening the focus. You might add constraints or specify the context further, anything to guide the AI closer to what you need. Then we're going to look at retesting. So, like a chef tasting their sauce, right? We've all watched those cooking shows and the chefs taste what they make and the ones that don't lose, right? We're going to retaste it. We're going to retest it with your refined prompt. If it's not quite right, you go back to the refinement stage, tweaking until you're satisfied. So I'm going to give you a practical example. So your initial prompt would look like this. What are common project management strategies? Okay, send that into our AI or our large language model, right? Then our refined prompt is next. So we get the output from the AI, we evaluate. Our refined prompt becomes, what are effective project management strategies for software development? We then evaluate again, and we further refine. What agile project management strategies are most effective for remote software development teams? See how we're continuously stacking this to be more contextual and specific. And it is hard to do this on the first go around. I am not kidding. Think about making a grocery list for your family. You might prompt an AI to write a grocery list for your family, and it gives you a great grocery list for 5 or 7 days worth of groceries. But then you remember something. You remember that your husband is gluten-free, right? Or you remember that your daughter just decided she's a vegetarian. Or you just remember that no one in your family eats bread in the morning. So the suggestion of muffins or coffee cake, not gonna work. No one likes that. Everyone's a protein fiend in the morning, right? It's things like that. So each step narrows the focus, ensuring that your AI really zeroes in on exactly what you need. And that's iterative prompting in a nutshell. So now let's talk about context. Context is so critical, and you saw that in the example we just ran through. Without context, your AI is like a GPS with no signal, lost and totally useless. The key here is contextual framing. Think of it as giving your AI the backstory it needs to do its job right. So, the techniques included in contextual framing are specificity. So, you wouldn't ask a chef, per se, to just make something good. No, you'd specify. Make a medium rare steak with garlic butter. The same goes for AI. You need to be specific to get specific results. Then there's contextual anchors. So, you're going to think of these as guideposts for your AI. When you say explain the impact of solar energy on rural communities in the US, you're providing a clear path for the AI to follow rather than leave it to wander off track. So I'm going to give you an example, and we're going to go a vague prompt to a contextual prompt, okay? So a vague prompt is tell me about renewable energy. And a contextual prompt would read, explain the impact of solar energy adoption on rural communities in the United States. You see how the second prompt gives the AI a much clearer sense of direction, leading to more relevant and useful outputs? All right, you've got context and specificity down, but what if the AI is still wandering too far from home? Okay, well, now we enter constraints. These are your AI's guardrails, keeping it from veering off into uncharted territory or territory you don't want it to go into. So there's a few types of constraints, okay? There's time constraints. That would be like discuss the future of electric vehicles in the next 5 years. You're not interested in a century-long forecast. You're not interested in 10 years, just the near future. Then there's content constraints, okay? So that'd be like list 3 key challenges. You're not looking for a novel, just the highlights. Then there's perspective constraints. So this would be like from an environmental scientist's perspective, what are the key challenges of climate change? We're going back to that persona thing, right? So this steers the AI to respond from a specific viewpoint, adding depth and relevance. So that's going to be a wrap on our techniques for refining prompts episode. If you've got questions, thoughts, or just want to connect, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just look up Emily Laird, Laird, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay curious, stay adventurous, and remember, you know more about prompt refinement now than you did when you arrived.